Hi everyone, and welcome to the Interlingo Freight Management Systems tutorial on the basics of a POD handover. Now, to create a new POD handover, you simply go File, New POD Handover, as is the case with all our documentation. Now, what is a POD handover, first of all? The idea with a POD handover is when you are sending PODs or other documentation to clients for payment, or simply because they need the documentation. Um, it's common practice to add a cover sheet, and this cover sheet basically just tells the account holder that there's stack of documentation, and it could possibly be 100 labels at a time. This stack of what is contained in the stack of documentation. So it's just a cover sheet with the Weibull information, as well as a check column with a signature. And basically, all that needs to happen with this is when you hand this documentation to the account holder, they can check off that they've received all of the required documentation, and at the bottom they can sign for the documentation, saying that they've received the documentation. That cover sheet, that signed cover sheet, is what they send back to you. Now let me show you how to do this. In this middle bar here, you can just type in the labels that you want to hand over to the account holder. And the system will do the rest. It wants it cover shopper in a problem labels for that specific account. It will stop you if you try and if you accidentally try and add a label that is not supposed to go to that account holder. Okay, next step is simply to print that out, attach the documentation, and send that through to the account holder. Once they've signed it and they've sent it back, you can open up, keep in mind you have to save this POD handover. Once they've signed and returned that signed POD handover, as you would do with a label, scan in the POD, the signed POD handover. That will then add that signed POD handover to this list here. And then later on, if say you run into the situation where an account holder refuses to pay because he says he's not received the documentation, you can simply look up his account by entering his account details here. Or if you have a specific Weibull reference, you can enter that here. Looking up that POD handover and sending him the scanned version with his signature, saying, "Listen, you have received this documentation. Please settle your account." And that's basically that. Once you've scanned in the POD, the signed POD handover, you can click Finalize, marking the POD handover as finalized, knowing that you have received the signed POD handover. And that's basically that.